Yeah, we deliberate on the topic today, why children lack motivation. Now we can go back and look at how many of us have ever worried if our children lack motivation. Maybe they don't seem interested in studying, maybe they don't show an initiative, maybe they spend time, hours on something that may not be useful in our perception. So it's natural for me to wonder as a parent, how do I motivate my child? Or why is my child not motivated? Right? What if children are not born unmotivated? Now, just consider. Now, look at this little toddler. Now, no one has to ever motivate a toddler to go try again and again to stand up or run or to grab things or uh, they touch everything, they ask endless questions, they try, fail, begin again. For younger children, very young children, life was naturally very motivating. So maybe we should ask a question. What is reducing my child's natural motivation? Is it school? Is it something that we're expecting of them? What is it? There was this a story. Many of you may have heard of the physicist Richard Feynman. He apparently was walking with his father and they spotted a bird, new kind that Richard had not seen before. So he asked his father, which is this bird? And the father could have said, this is name of the bird. I don't remember what that was. Instead, he asked, what difference do you find with the birds you have already seen and with this bird? Is it bigger, smaller, lighter? What's the color? Why do you think the bird has come here today? Why do you think we had never seen the bird? It's like father asking the son now. Somewhere creating that curiosity in the boy to wonder, why? Have we seen this bird before? Why is this bird here? And maybe it was a migratory bird. We don't know. I mean, I don't know what happened with the story later on. But typically, what the essence is, we as adults, we focus on giving answers to children. Children thrive more when we engage them in questions. We build that curiosity. So instead of asking what's the correct answer, we can ask, what do you notice? What do you think is there? What do you think is happening? Why do you think it's happening that way? Somewhere we introduce children into discovery, find more out, or stay with that question a little longer. Keep looking for clues. Maybe Richard had seen this new bird now when the father asked him different questions. He had seen the regular birds around him all the time. Maybe he had not observed certain details in the birds he regularly saw. And now he's going back with that curiosity. He's motivated to learn more about the birds he had commonly seen. So, somewhere when children feel like they are the explorers rather than perform, answer my questions, rather than perform, if they're curious about things, if they go exploring, then they become naturally interested. Somehow attention improves, my memory strengthens because I'm comparing with what I saw to what I'm seeing right now. Learning becomes a little bit more deeper, more meaningful. Somewhere you see this learning revving up the child's curiosity. It's like that engine creating that curiosity, long lasting interest, and then you naturally see the child is motivated. So children are interested in many different things, whatever they genuinely care about. Have you seen children spending endless hours, on their hobbies or on some TV cartoon character? I had one child in the school, he loved dinosaurs. We had this little competition that we would give tasks to children to do at home. And when they did a certain number of activities, we would give away small goodies as prizes. And I had a pack of dinosaur erasers, a pack of 8 or 9, I don't recall. And this boy wanted to collect all 8 of them. And he also wanted it with that box where these little dinosaurs snugly fit into those molds. And he did, oh my God, challenging. Every day he would take up a new challenge. He said, Ma'am, if I do all of this, would you give me that dinosaur? He would mark his dinosaur and he would be the first one to come back to school next day, so nobody else would take it. And amazing, you didn't have to tell this child to study. He did it on his own. So somewhere that challenge that he set up for himself, that I needed to get all these dinosaurs for myself, motivated him to do the task that usually children would just have given up on doing. So somewhere, what is it that I am doing or the environment is doing to my child where the child is losing motivation? We need to explore on this. The first one could be control, too much control. Every decision I as an adult make for the child because it's quicker and it's sure shot. I know it's within my reach. We don't have to fail, try again, right? So I make it for the child. In other words, if someone, you can look at that for yourself. If your boss or if your spouse is making all the decisions for you, you just relax. You don't worry about it. Yeah, tell me, I will do. I have known even the heads of the schools, when I give them tasks to do, they come back and tell me, Ma'am, you just give us a set of steps, we'll just do it. Follow it. That's why many schools teachers love textbooks because they can just follow it, versus doing something different. So when somebody is making decision for the child, there is a loss of ownership. They don't feel like they own it. And when I don't own it, I'm not naturally as motivated to somehow do the good job at it. Taking that ownership, I don't get involved in it. I mean, maybe on the side note, this could be the reason why many daughter-in-laws, mother-in-laws have issues because mother-in-law does not want to give up the control and daughter-in-law doesn't own it. Could be, I don't know, it just occurred to me. Somewhere, motivation comes where there is autonomy, where there's freedom. Even small choices matters, right? So would you like to read this book or that book? Reading is the task I want child to do. Would you like to read 1 pages or 4 pages? If I want child to read 4 pages, I can put it out like, do you want to read 4 pages or 6 pages? Right? So when I give that freedom of choice, then children are motivated. Do you want to read the book now or after dinner? Do you want to read 2 pages every day or read 10 pages over the weekend? Many different ways of putting the same thing where the child feels that they can choose. They are the owners, they can create. So this creates motivation. The other problem we have with children losing motivation is constant evaluation. I mean, especially the school setup we have, anything I learn is to be evaluated. And that's why you see even languages like English and third language, Hindi, Kannada, whatever, is given less important because, CETs, NEET exams don't need that because there's nobody testing me on that, right? Constant evaluation feels very judged. I don't like being judged. I don't like being compared. It's like against the natural flow. So I'm not motivated naturally. So instead of asking my child, did you get good marks? Or what homework do you have today? How was the test today? You could ask, what did you learn today? What surprised you today? And teachers can take this up as well. So the conversation instantly changes. So somewhere the child needs to feel understood rather than measured. So if I as a parent I'm evaluating, become aware of it. And then definitely there is this fear of failure gripping even us adults. I have fear of rejection, you know, fear of abandonment, fear of success. There's so many fears that come because of the conditioning. So any of these fears stop us from making mistakes. We don't take charge. We don't take risks. But when I am naturally curious, I will not even worry about the fears because I'm so curious. It's okay for me to ask any kind of question. So the discovery of all this begins with not knowing, then why worry about failure? I don't know. As parents, we can normalize the mistakes. It's okay. Mistakes happen. Mistakes help me learn. But what did that experience teach you? What did you learn from making that mistake? So the child begins to feel safe in making mistakes. So they're willing to try, right? Another lack of motivation, another reason for lack of motivation is overscheduling, especially now nuclear families, both parents are working. And also there is competition between parents. I want my children to learn every possible skill that is out there. I enroll them in classes before school, after schools, tuitions, or drama, dance, music, you name it, we have it now. We enroll them. Children don't have space. We need to get bored. We need to have time to show curiosity. If we don't, then I will lose interest in things around me. And that appears to me as lack of motivation. So, somewhere as parents, we need to create those spaces where children can observe, where children can explore, where children have opportunities to contribute their ideas, their actions. Because every child, every one of us has this need to be needed, right? So, give them responsible tasks, real chores. It need not be perfectly done. Helping them prepare meals, watering plants, taking care of pets, whatever that is, the chores around the house. That creates responsibility. Responsibility leads to a purpose in our role during dinner time in my house every day. Then I'm motivated with that purpose of setting it up, the place a little bit more properly, a little bit more quicker, little bit more efficiently. So, somewhere our goal has to be not to compare, measure, force, but create conditions where children can thrive. Children can be curious, thereby they build their confidence, thereby they have a purpose to learn, right? So, question we need to ask ourselves, am I focusing on the performance? Am I measuring too much? Is child withdrawing, fear of performing, or they are simply listening? I'm not correcting, I'm not teaching, I'm not judging, I'm just listening, and children are also just listening and willing to discover something that's important. So, motivation generally was never missing. It was more of these additional conditioning that have come up that is pulling children away from being curious. So let's bring that back for children again. Thank you.